I took a break from making content, and apparently I forgot how to be a content creator. Oh my gosh, I just recorded this and didn't record my audio. But we're back, team. What's going on, beautiful people? I am the Grandmaster, and I also go by D.Rey, bringing you guys season number 6 of the GlitchhxCity Battle Royale. Your SoCal Annihilation are back, ready to just fucking take the league by storm. But before I talk about all that stuff, as the commissioner of this league, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for helping us create what is now the juggernaut known as the GlitchhxCity Battle Royale. The BBR really has, it honestly sits on the top. It sits at the summit in the draft league scene. And it's all because of you guys. We had a very, very, very successful season number 5 with an incredibly colorful cast of characters. And shout out to J-Bear, coach of the Graveyard. Congratulations, brother. That is my champion. Season 5 winner. But we're back for our shot at the crown. I will admit I probably should not have been playing draft since the beginning of last year. Honestly, not really having much time to do much at all, but luckily things have slowed down and I have time. So I'm very excited to really give everything that I've got this season. And if I fall short, it's because it's me. it's me. But honestly, guys, the BBR season 6, it blows my mind. It's so awesome. Thank you. If you haven't already had the opportunity, down in the description below will be a link to the Discord channel. I would love for you to join in on the conversation of the season. We will have some incredible content going up. Shout out to Kirby, who is one of my beloved admins. He is deciding to take a step back this season to give himself a little bit of a break and also create exterior content. And he's gonna be doing it around the BBR. He's going to take over. Shout out to Joey, PokeMMD last season did a fantastic job doing things like pick'ems and watch alongs, which now will be taken over by Kirby. So please, also in the description will be a link to his channel. Make sure you subscribe, be in the Discord server so you can get notifications whenever he goes live. He's also going to be making exterior content for the league. It's very, very cool. It's going to go all up on his channel. A lot of fun stuff happening this season. Very excited for it. We're ready to really take off and have an incredible follow-up season for the post-home Wi-Fi draft league meta. If you're good to go, man, I forgot my catchphrases, and it's funny, man. I'm so excited to be back. I'm so refreshed. I took a month off, and I feel like it's the best thing for me. I'm ready to go. I'm happy where I am, and I'm excited, guys. If you guys are ready to talk about the team, what we drafted, why we drafted it, kind of dive a little bit deeper into my thought process, let's get it, guys. Pull up a chair, get your popcorn ready, and hit the lights. Annihilation Nation. I can make that a thing. I'm gonna make that a thing. Let's talk about it. For those of this is your first time in Draft League and really diving into what Draft League really truly is, Draft League is basically just like fantasy sports. Think of like fantasy football, for example. A bunch of people we call coaches get together, and then we're going to be randomizing ourselves into a list, which we call a draft order. And in that list, from 1 to 16, this season we have 16 coaches, so we're upgrading 4 coaches from last season. Last season we have 12, this season we have 16. So the list from 1 to 16, where we take turns one by one to pick Pokemon from a tier list that we deemed as a viability tier list. If it's a higher if the Pokemon is of higher value, then it's probably a little bit better in the format. If it's lesser value, not so good. High point Pokemon are things like Dragapult, Iron Valiant. Low Pokemon are things like Calyrex and Pikachu. Kind of to give yourself a little bit of an idea of what that actually entails. So it's snake draft format, meaning that the first pick starts off round 1 and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 up to 16. And at the beginning of round 2, the 16th pick gets to pick first. So it goes 16, 15, 14, 13, so on and so forth. And it snakes that way. By the end of the draft, all of us have a minimum of 9 Pokemon and a maximum of, I believe, 11 this season. And then once the draft is over, we all have our teams. We will create a schedule, which you can now find in the, in the Discord server. So make sure you hop on in there. Wink, wink, kiss, kiss. Each and every week we're paired off with one of our opponents as coaches, and we get to see what they have. They get to see what we have, and we have 1 week to create a team that we believe are the best 6 Pokemon to bring in a 1v1, a 6v6 singles Wi-Fi battle to crown, eventually after 8 weeks and playoffs, the champion of Season 6. So, in the draft, let's talk about it. We were position number 12. There were the coaches after us. We had Vepsis, Jabra the champion, D-Double, our boy Dell, and T-Row Price. Which is nice. We're not in the middle. We're not in the end. So we were able to kind of find out and scout what they were drafting and kind of depict what we were going to do in our draft. There were 2 Pokemon that I really wanted, and luckily I can proudly say we got them. Got them both, and I'm very excited about it. In fact, I don't think we got sniped once. I think, no, we did get sniped one time, and I'll talk about that later on, but it wasn't really that bad. In retrospect, kind of stepping back and looking at the whole picture, I think that it ended up working out better for us. So I'm grateful, very grateful. So shout out to T-Row. So let's talk about it. First pick, 12th overall. I wanted to pick this Pokemon before we start complex banning this bitch. We got Sneezler. So for those who don't know what Sneezler does, Sneezler is a poison and fighting type Pokemon that gets access to the brand new signature move called Dire Claw. Dire Claw is busted, and right now we are not limiting this mon, and so I am very excited to be the first to try it out, and hopefully we're able to put in an immense amount of work and really make us think about having a complex ban this bitch. So for those who don't know what Dire Claw does, Dire Claw is a poison type 80 base power move that has a 50% chance to either paralyze, poison, or make the opponent fall asleep. Yes, which means that we're going to be treating it as Effect Spore. So if I click Dire Claw, I have a chance to get that Pokemon, the target, to fall asleep. If my opponent switches to the next Pokemon, and if I click Dire Claw again, and that Pokemon coming in that receives the Dire Claw also falls asleep, I have 2 Pokemon technically breaking sleep claws, but not in this case. I can make multiple Pokemon fall asleep. It's a very low chance to, because it's 50% chance to do one of 3 status elements. So it's around more of like 11 or 12% chance, but it can happen. I can make all of them fall asleep. So I'm very excited for it. This Pokemon is incredible. It gets access to setup in Swords Dance, which is really nice, paired off with one of its abilities in Unburden. Unburden, whenever it uses a consumed item, it doubles its speed. So pairing it off with Close Combat, Wide Herb can activate Unburden, so that way it gets a double speed boost, essentially outspeeding the vast majority of teams. Someone drafted, shout out to Mountay, a Regieleki, so basically everything but that, and maybe the Electrodes with the Scarf will get outsped by Sneezler, which is top tier. It is a grounded poison type, which means that it is a poison type touching the floor. So every time on entry, it does soak up toxic spikes. And bear with me, guys, I'm tired. I just recorded this bitch and now I'm recording it again. But if Sneezler is touching the ground, it soaks up toxic spikes on entry, and it also sets up toxic spikes, being able to be a lead with setting up T-spikes. And if my opponent doesn't have good removal or a grounded poison type, being able to set that up turn 1 could be pretty spicy. It also getting access to good, like I said, good fighting type stab like Close Combat. You can take advantage of Unburden sets with Acrobatics, good coverage in things like Fire Punch. Also has another really good ability called Poison Touch. Poison Touch gives a 30% chance to poison on contact attacks that don't otherwise have poison as a secondary effect. For example, giving access to Pivot Momentum in U-Turn. If something wants to come in to try to chew hits from Sneezler like a Great Tusk, I can punish it by clicking U-Turn and get a 30% chance to poison the opponent, which is really nice. Being able to pivot around and spread status is so fucking good. Being able to just break things, spread status, and just set up hazards. This is a very good Pokemon, and being able to get at the 12th overall pick, I think was a steal. And this is what I wanted turn 1, or not turn 1, round 1, which is really nice. I'm very excited for it. And it's really cool because he looks like Vision, kind of. He's got the stone on it, the Infinity Stone. Power Stone on the forehead, which is really cool. So Sneezler, I haven't really decided what I want to nickname. I think I'm probably going to name him Pete Davidson, PDD, or La Toxica. La Toxica means the toxic, or like a gal, like a girl that's a toxic girl that you just can't stop talking to because she's so fine. But she's ugly as fuck. But we're gonna call her La Toxica because of poison type. Or Pete Davidson because my man's is butt-ass ugly, but my dude be living the dream, pulling all the bitches. Like, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it. Kim Kardashian, Ariana Grande, and the dude looks like that. So this may be PDD. So now that we got Sneezler, it comes back. We're at the very start of round 2. I heavily prioritize not only a steel type, but also a fairy type. I think that they are one of, if not the most important things to have in a draft. And having a good one is really, really, really on the top of my priority list, especially one that is viable. So we wanted to go ahead and jump on right away, Mr. Iron Treads. We had Donphan last season, and Donphan was an absolute MVP for us. So having Iron Treads is so nice. Having access to be a steel type with access to rapid spin to remove hazards is top tier. In the name, in the words of our friend Joey, Pokemon MD, if you don't have one of the Donphan family, you don't have a good spinner. And I agree, you know, at a certain extent. So having it is really cool, and also being able to set up Stealth Rock alongside Rapid Spin is so fucking good. Everyone has the lazy fucking excuse that, oh, just run heavy duty boots. Sure, but having this thing, having access to knockoff to remove your heavy duty boots and also set up hazards and remove them is so fucking good. Click knockoff, remove hazards. Don't have removal? Fine, take the hazard chip every single time you come in. I think that's just a lazy excuse for hazard removal. Just do it. They're a good Pokemon. You just have to prioritize them in your draft. That could be an unpopular opinion. That's just me, right? So I was able to grab a Rapid Spinner and Iron Treads, which is really nice. Access to Volt Switch for pivot momentum is really spicy. If a water type wants to come in and I can click Volt Switch on the switch, or a flying type Pokemon that is otherwise going to be immune to my ground type stab is really, really nice. So Volt Switch is going to be absolutely clutch to be able to get in my other threat, things like Sneezler. Having access to being a future Paradox Pokemon and access to booster energy for like things to pair off with Iron Defense Body Press sets would be really, really nice. So Iron Treads, very good versatile Pokemon, and really fits well in the team. To start things off, I think it's looking kind of spicy. So now that we got our Steel type, I really wanted to get my Fairy type. Didn't really know which one I wanted, so I was thinking to myself, damn, I want something that's going to be offensive, I want something that's going to be bulky, and the pure Fairy type with Sylveon fits everything. Sylveon is a fantastic Pokemon paired off with its ability Pixelate, basically making the normal type moves into Fairy type attacks, and gives them a 1.2 times boost on top of stab boost is so good, making Hyper Voice a much more powerful Fairy type attack than Moonblast, which is really, really nice on the special side. Access to things like Quick Attack for priority, gets that boost in Pixelate as well, but also, very important, gets access to Wish. Wish is really good on this team because Wish is able to help us keep Iron Treads healthy, and anything else that wants to come in with the team that doesn't otherwise have reliable recovery, Sylveon is able to keep them healthy as a cleric. It unfortunately doesn't have Heal Bell. They gave it to Blissey finally, a season too late, but they gave it to Blissey and Chansey. They're the only two clerics in the game, so it did lose Heal Bell, which is unfortunate, but it does get access to Baton Pass. Baton Pass is really nice to be able to come in and soak up a special type, a special hit, Baton Pass out and get in another threat. Iron Treads has a fantastic physical defense, and then Sylveon has a fantastical words has a really good, a fantastic SPDEF stat. It's got a good defensive core. We got really three really good fucking Pokemon here. This thing gets access to Calm Mind for setup. Choice Specs boosted Hyper Voices under Pixelate is nothing to scoff at. It can be a setup Pokemon, it could be a breaker, it could be a Pivotmon, it could be a bulky Pokemon. It really fits a lot of roles on the team. Very happy we were able to solidify not only our Steel type, but also a really good Fairy, which otherwise other people may have to, you know, downgrade on or settle on. So I really want to prioritize it for our team. Now, as we're rolling along, I'm thinking to myself, damn, dude, my other Pokemon that I wanted is still there, and I can guarantee you it's not going to be there on the way back, so I'm just going to hop on it now. I feel like it's an absolute fucking steal to grab Hisuian Samurai. Hisuian Samurai and Sneezler were the two Pokemon I talked about in the beginning that I really wanted in this draft. This Pokemon gained access to the ability Sharpness. And we've seen it on Gallade. That is a fantastic ability. On all our cutting moves or blade based moves, it gets a 1.5 times boost. And it has a plethora of attacks to take advantage of sharpness, including its new signature move, Ceaseless Edge, which is absolutely busted. It is a dark type 65 base power move that always sets up one layer of spikes and is boosted by sharpness and is stab. This Pokemon is going to be bananas with Ceaseless Edge. Being able to click a free dark type unimmune hit to anything and just get free spikes is so good, especially with Iron Treads being able to get that rapid spin to have the hazards removed off our side. Wow. Samurot's gonna be fire. Also being able to take advantage too of sharpness. It gives access to really good 2 water type stabs, an Aqua Cutter and Razor Shell, which also gets boosted by sharpness, as well as Sacred Sword. And if my opponent wants to try to get spicy and switch into grass type, then it gets access to really good special attack stat. Its physical attack is base 108 and its special attack is base 100. And it also gets access to things like Air Slash that gets boosted by sharpness. So if a grass type wants to feel spicy to switch in on a water type move, psych, in comes the Air Slash, and now you get to hit KO'd, bitch. And it's a dark type that gets access to the very broken knockoff. Again, if we can just remove the heavy duty boots on the lazy opponent that wants to just run heavy duty boots on all 6 Pokemon, I have 2 Mons now that can reliably run knockoff almost every single week. Remove those hazards, get free spikes, get up Stealth Rock, get up Toxic Spikes, remove the boots, and just literally chip down my opponent. Very, very good. And it's also really nice to help just literally break teams, which is fantastic. Being able to just literally spam its stab moves. Water Dark is such a good typing. I'm so excited I got Samurott. HISUIAN, Samurott, and Sneezler were the 2 Pokemon I really wanted, and so I'm glad we got them. So now from here, I really wanted to prioritize my Terra Captain. So we changed things up from last season. Last season, we were forced to do 2 Terra types. One of them had to be your stab plus 1 random type. Now this season, we decided to let it go free. You can choose any 2 typings that you want. I wanted to prioritize my Terra Captain, and I was actually watching one of my good friend and my co-host, Mr. OGL, buying his videos, and he really turned me on to this Pokemon, and I was thinking to myself, damn, I really do agree. I think this Pokemon is going to be busted with Terra. So we decided to pick up Thundurus Therian form. Thundurus Therian formation, if you will. This Pokemon with a base 145 special attack and retaining access to both of its incredible set of moves in agility and a nasty plot. Oh my god, this thing can get so overwhelming so freaking fast. With the typing of electric and flying, we decided to go ahead and give this thing the flying Terra type to be able to get that stab, Terra Blast, flying type moves on the special side, which is finally something that Thundurus was lacking, as well as the ice Terra type. The ice Terra type gives Thundurus access to bolt beam coverage, and the bolt in the beam is stab. So this mon with nasty plot's gonna get absolutely, no pun intended, nasty. This thing's gonna be so filthy, and I'm so excited. Thundurus is so good. I'm very excited for this Pokemon. It's gonna be a fantastic breaker. Gets really good coverage in Grass Knot, Sludge Bomb for fairies and other grass types if I'm not running Terra Blast, which I obviously am going to. So now I have better options in Sludge Bomb, but it is good for fairies, I will admit. Also access to Focus Blast for steel types that want to come in on my flying type Terra Blast stab, and it's an electric type that has access to Volt Switch as well as U-turn, so it can't be blocked by subsequent ground types. But with the ice Terra type, ground types have to think twice before coming in, or else you're gonna get Terra Ice blasted in the fucking jaw. And I'm here for it. I'm very, very excited for this Pokemon. Thundurus gets a really good ability in Volt Absorb paired off with a Terra Flying, basically removing that weakness of being pure flying type on the electric type and being able to heal Thundurus. I think it's really fucking good. The base 101 speed, so fantastic. So now we have base 120 Sneezler, 106 Thundurus, and 101 Thundurus, and then followed by 85 on Samurott and 60 on Sylveon. So fantastic. Now from here on the part of the draft, I was thinking to myself, damn, Sylveon kind of has a lot to do in regards to the soaking of the hits aspect, as well as being able to have a Pokemon that can remove the task of having Stealth Rock on Iron Treads. Iron Treads wants to run other sets aside from Stealth Rock sets, like Assault Vest sets, to kind of name one. So being able to have a Pokemon that's able to remove the pressures of soaking up hits as well as setting up hazards, we decided to pick up the absolute GOAT. The Dunsparce. The Dunsparce is so fucking good. I had this in the BBL recently for Showdown, and this thing was chewing special hits from uber Pokemon. This thing took a Specs overheated modest Chiyu's a Specs modest overheat from a Chiyu, and then retaliated back with Glare. Glare is a fantastic paralyzing move to help with speed control. I really prioritize speed tiers personally, but being able to have access to Glare is fantastic to add a little bit more speed control. And honestly, Yellow Magic is fucking busted. And having that 30%, I think 30%, right, to get fully paired is fantastic. Having access to a really powerful stab option in Boom Burst is really nice. Gets access to Coil, a signature normal type stab move. I think it's called Hyper Drill, base 100 and fully accurate, is very, very nice. Gets access to Dragon Tail to pivot things out, access to Roost for longevity, and Stealth Rock like I talked about. So being able to just soak up hits, roost off the damage, glare something, set up Stealth Rock, and then bounce. Also having access to Baton Pass similarly to Sylveon is fantastic to soak up that hit, get that pivot momentum, and bring in another one of our threats. Things like Thundurus, things like Samurott, things like Sneezler. This is a fantastic pairing in the team. Its only weakness being pure normal type is fighting, which Sylveon literally chews up. The backbone here, the defensive backbone, is really starting to take shape. I think the Dunsparce fits really well. Look at this team so far. I'm such a good drafter. I'm such a good fucking pats on back. I'm good. I'm very excited. Very excited. Now from here, I was thinking to myself, damn, dude, I have so many hazards on my team. How do I take full advantage of my hazards, right? So, Toxic Spikes, we got Stealth Rock, we got Spikes. How do we deter our opponent from removing our hazards? We have to grab a Ghost type. And we're also very weak to ground types right now, which is kind of a problem, kind of a big problem. So I thought to myself, how do we kill 3 birds in 1 stone? With a ground resist, a blocker of rapid spin, a fighting type immunity, because right now that's kind of a problem as well. We decided to pick up the Pokemon that was released back from Pokemon Home, Decadueye. Decadueye is a fantastic pairing with not only Samurott, honestly, because it's able to come in on the ghost types. Samurott can come in on the ghost types. I want to attack on Decadueye, and then as well as the ice type moves and vice versa, just covers the weaknesses very, very well. Decadueye literally retained everything. It still has access to setup on both sides, things like Swords Dance for the offensive side, and then Nasty Plot for the specially offensive side. It has a really good ghost type stab in Spirit Shackle, which is really cool, base 80 ghost type physical attack that traps in my opponent that allows me to facilitate more setup. Gets pivot momentum in U-turn, access to Defog, which is really cool, Roost for longevity, and really cool options not only for Spirit Shackle for the physical side, but also can run Shadow Ball. It gets Energy Ball, Leaf Storm, Leaf Blade, and also if a Grass type, for example, wants to feel like it can get spicy and switch in on one of my moves, it gets access to Brave Bird for coverage, which is really nice. Being able to get huge damage on a defensive like Mon that wants to take my stabs is really, really cool. Great coverage options. It can be physical, it can be special, it can pivot, it can soak up hits, it can block hazards, block spin, I should say, remove hazards. Decadueye does it all. Fantastic pairing off on this team. This team is looking so good. So good. I'm a little weak to ice at the moment, but nothing that the Dunsparce really can't handle. The Dunsparce literally chews ice type hits like it's for breakfast, which is really, really good. Now, here is where the first and only real snipe happened. I got a bone to pick with T-Row. We allowed T-Row to get some help on the draft because he was on vacation and my man's took like 6 hours to take this pick. As I was looking at my team, as I mentioned before, I'm a little ground weak, so I really want to get a Levitator. I really wanted to get Mesprit here. I was like, damn, this thing got a really good new move. It's called Mystical Power, a 100% chance to raise its special attack. It can really snowball, access to Levitate, Stealth Rocks as well, U-turn for pivot momentum. It lost knockoff, but that's okay. It can still do really good stuff. Uxie was already drafted. I think that Azelf was also drafted, so I was like, damn. What do I do here? So I'm gonna take Mesprit, and my boy took like 5 hours. Finally came back and sniped us at Mesprit. I was very upsetty spaghetti, but ended up with my boy Talonflame. Still is able to be that ground immunity, and also gives it access to Flame Body, which means that on contact moves, it can punish my opponent by having a 30% chance to burn on contact, which is fantastic. And if I don't get it, I can always hit Will-O-Wisp to be able to burn that and being able to neuter the physical attackers. Get access to Roost for longevity, U-turn for pivot momentum, can also defog, and it can also set up and bulk up and Swords Dance, which is really cool for Talonflame. A lot of different options. Having everything and being able to just set up, pivot, take hits. Also having access to priority Gale Wings for my flying type stab is really cool. It did lose access to dual wing B, which sucks for it, but nonetheless, Talonflame is still going to serve the purpose, and it helps us speed tier. So now we have our fastest Pokemon at base 126. So our speed tiers are looking top tier here now. I'm very excited for Talonflame. I've always wanted to really bring it on the team and try it. So Talonflame fits really well on the team. So ultimately, thanks T-Row. No worries, brother. I think it worked out great. So now on this, I was thinking to myself, damn, I don't really have much real pressure. I'm like forcing on as a physical breaker. Like Thundurus is an obnoxious special breaker, but I really wanted something to really come in, soak a hit, and really stick it to my opponents. And you guys know the channel, man. I have some comfort Pokemon. This one is honestly one of my main comfort Pokemon. We picked up Haxorus. Haxorus we had last season. We're picking it up this season. Base 147 attack. Come on now. This thing hits so freaking hard. It has incredible setup opportunities. Moves like Dragon Dance to boost our attack and our speed, and getting access to to Swords Dance is fantastic. On top of that, getting really good coverage options, things like close combat, things like First Impression. So First Impression is a priority move that you have to click first. So if you pair Haxorus with like a close combat eject pack set to bring in and facilitate more access to click First Impression is really cool. Getting access to good coverage moves like Poison Jab and an Iron Head for the fairies. Really good Dragon Stab and Outrage and Dragon Claw. And it also gets access to the awesome ability Mold Breaker. So Mold Breaker basically ignores abilities, which is fantastic. So I can ignore things like Mimikyu's Disguise, as well as clicking Earthquake on Levitate Pokemon, since we just talked about that. So things like a Rotom that want to come in, they can't, because Mold Breaker is going to ignore the Levitate and have super effective damage on it because it's part electric type. So being able to click unpunished earthquakes aside from actual flying type Pokemon is actually really cool. So Haxorus has fantastic options to set up and win the game, or Bandit sets, Life Orb sets to really break a team. With base 147 attack, this Pokemon is gross. I love Haxorus. I just wish they didn't neuter my boy's size. He's like a little raptor now, which is cool and all, but I like them as like a bigger dragon, you know what I mean? But I love Haxorus. This is Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker is gonna be ripping teams apart. I'm very excited for Haxorus. I'm glad that we got him again. I'll draft Haxorus all the time. I'll monopolize this bitch. This dude's so fucking good. So fucking good. Now, look at my team, man. It's so good. I love it to death. I've got 6 points left. I can either take really couple low tier mankers, and I'm all about low tier value. I 100% am, but honestly, at this point, I was like, dang, I really want to fill a really good speed tier at 110. I want some utility options, and some more hazard control would be nice. And months unbeknownst to me, I ended up grabbing Espeon, where our last 6 points is where it was spent. Getting access to Magic Bounce is really cool, being able to bounce back hazards on switch in, or being able to bounce back status elements is really cool to keep our team nice and safe. Also getting access to dual screens, being able to facilitate setup for all my threats, things like Swords Dance Sneezler and Swords Dance Decadueye, Dragon Dance Haxorus, Nasty Plotted Jelly Thunderous. So many good options for setup here. Having the dual screens is really cool. Espeon also has longevity and Morning Sun, which is really nice, paired off with things like Calm Mind for setup, as well as coverage for dark types. It does get Draining Kiss, which is really cool, as well as Dazzling Gleam for those darks. Kind of gets shit on by steel types, but not really gonna stay in on them anyway. I'm mostly gonna use this for like things like Thunder Wave to be able to help alleviate the pressure off of the Dunsparce and slow down my opponent's team, so my breakers like Samurott can come in and really click Ceaseless Edge almost for free. Espeon has a lot of really cool support options that can really help glue this whole team together, and I get a team of 10. I feel like this team is one of the best, honestly, that I've ever drafted. It's fantastic. I may be biased. I for sure am. But like, look at this team. It's so good. There's so many things. Everything has viability to come each and every week. They all have a really good role to fill. We've got physical breakers. We've got special breakers. We have mons that break for each other. We have defensive checks. We have hazards. We have removal. We have literally everything on the team. This team is so good, in my personal opinion. I'm so excited for season 6 of the BBR. I hope you guys are too. If this is your first time, leave a comment down below what you think about the team. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe. Please subscribe on our journey to become BBR season 6 champions. I haven't been in the fucking playoffs since the BBL, man. I ran rampant in the BBL Ubers League, but having Reshiram, but it's time to really buckle down. I'm very excited to have the time to not only run the BBR, but another league. The San Diego Snugglers are also back, so make sure you keep your eyes out for that. Very excited for their return. But I'm hyped. I took a break. I'm excited again. I'm ready to bring you guys a great season. I love Draft League. Draft League is just so addicting, and I want to take a break, but I can't. It's just so much fun, and you guys will see why. These battles will come to you each and every Saturday. Keep your eyes out for content from Kirby, things like streams for pick'ems, streams for watch-alongs. Again, in the description below will be a link to the Discord server where you can get the roles of all the coaches participating this season whenever they upload their battles. So you'll be the first to know, so you can watch those games and support your favorite coach, aka me, and also get notifications when Kirby goes live for watch-alongs, which would be really fun. He's such a hilarious guy, and he's one of my main. I love him like a brother, and he's gonna bring fantastic BBR content this season for you guys. And we have an incredible lineup of coaches. If you guys didn't get a chance to check out the draft stream, please do so. It'll be on my channel. Please watch it. We have so many good. It blows my mind who we have. It's crazy. We have so many amazing, talented coaches this season. It's gonna be an incredible time. I keep gassing it up. I'm going to shut up now. I'm very excited. We have every Saturday. BBR Saturdays are here. It's time. Draft League is alive and well. Thank you so much for all your support. If you guys did enjoy, again, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. I'm going to get the heck up out of here. Have a great rest of your day. And above all else, be nice. Peace.